It's the end of the day, there's like 20 minutes to go. I promise two things. One, I will keep the slide, and two, I will show you cute pics of animals. It's me. So let's run through stuff, and let me see if this works. Okay, yeah. Hi, I'm Akshat, Senior Product Marketing Manager at FreshBooks. I lead all things lead to segmentation at FreshBooks. That includes segment research, segment strategy, implementation, measurement, everything, amongst other things. So if you don't know already, FreshBooks is a cloud accounting solution that, I don't know what I did with this, but okay. So FreshBooks is a cloud accounting solution like Xero. So I had a couple of my competitors speaking up here. I spoke with them as well. So it's nice to know we're all on the same page. So today I want to talk about customer segmentation and its evolution over time and how we could benefit by looking at our customers through different lenses. So brace yourself for the next 20 minutes or so. You're going to hear the word segmentation a lot. Oh, yes, I got this. So as product marketers, we're expected to be the customer experts, often called upon to establish and maintain a deep understanding of our customers, an understanding that will help marketing teams effectively target prospects, product teams to sharpen their focus, and for sales to fine-tune their pitches. But how often do we actually feel restricted by the constraints that we're working with, by the boundaries under which we are forced to develop our value proposition, our product messaging, our pitch deck, our positioning, and so on? So let's take a step back and ask ourselves, how can we build a better viewpoint of the people who matter the most in our business, our customers? And I want to address this. So let's talk about customers and customer segmentation. Some call this market segmentation. Whatever name we want to give this, I think we can all agree that segmentation is important. Segments allow us to deeply understand the unique grouping of our customers in the market. Grouping our customers together into different buckets ultimately enable us to understand them better and meet their requirements through product engineering, design, product positioning, marketing, sales, and so on. So without an understanding of customer segments, we would end up applying a one-size-fits-all method to which we all know does not work, and it's not reflective of the requirements that exist on our customer base or in the market. But we know all of this already, don't we? So if you're going to set about grouping our customers into buckets, the most obvious way of doing this would be to segment customers based on who they are and what they do. Most businesses start off by doing this. They use demographics, firmographics, geography, and sometimes even psychographics. This method of segmentation is what is usually called an a priori segmentation model. It simply has marketers and researchers asking the simple question of which of these demographic, psychographic, etc., describe you the best. And once the data is there, they start dividing the customers into segments that contain customers who are as similar to one another as possible, but who differ from other customers in other segments. One of the most common ones that we use in the B2B world is verticals. And I want to say it works, but I also want to say it doesn't work. More on that later. So the most obvious benefit of using this kind of a segmentation is that it's simple, it's quick to use, and the data is readily available. And since the segmentation framework is more real and tangible, it is easy for everyone to comprehend and make inferences. So if I tell you my target segment is lawyers in New York, you would get it because it is describing who our customer is. The real issue, however, is that it tends to oversimplify our customers and their requirements, and sometimes we're at the risk of pulling together segments that end up with a non-homogeneous group. Lawyers in New York may not always have the same requirements from the product that you are selling to them. It may be that they do, but there are various instances when they may not. A divorce lawyer in New York is not going to have the same requirements out of your product that a real estate lawyer would. Or maybe they do, but it's important to note that nuance. So inherently, as product marketers, we are either trying to create value for the customers through innovation, or we're trying to showcase the value of our product through value proposition and messaging. So in both these cases, We're trying to answer the question of what are the jobs to be done by the customer, or what does the customer need? And if we use the classic segmentation model, we are trying to create value for a classical segment, say someone who in a particular industry or someone who's aged 18 to 34. Then we have to ask ourselves this: do customers who are similar in age, industry, or any of our defined segments have similar needs or jobs to be done? If so, do they solve for their needs in a similar manner? Conversely, do customers who differ by these classical segments have different needs or jobs to be done? More often than not, the answer to this would be probably no, or not always. And if they do so, then my counter question to you would be, does the difference in age or industry or any of the segment cuts that you have cause this need difference, or is it a correlation? And I'm most likely sure that it would be a correlation and not a causation. So what is needs-based segmentation? It's a process of identifying groups of customers based on their shared experience of a specific problem or need. So needs-based segmentation aims to understand the pain points, problems, motivations, needs, or ambitions that are driving customer behavior. It is the strongest and also the most difficult of all form of segmentation that we can use to inform our team of our customers, of our company strategy. With needs-based segmentation, you divide the market into smaller groups of people who have more or less the same needs. In the past, it was assumed that this was a little difficult because of the level of abstractness and the level of vagueness to it, but it has become more and more easier for us to be able to identify this in the changing ecosystem. And needs-based segments are very crucial as they help you determine what needs the product or the service that you're offering is supposed to be satisfying, right? And by identifying your customer needs, you can make sure that you offer them exactly the right products the right way. So bringing the focus, like why do we want need segmentation and why is it so important and different? It turns the focus back onto the customer, not onto who the customer is, but on what they want from your product. And it helps us as product marketers group them into similar buckets with similar needs and hence similar usage patterns that we could expect, and not just into generic buckets. It helps us focus very sharply on a particular segment, use case, and build the best class experience for that target segment. And it helps us understand who our customer really is. So what are the use cases of needs-based segmentation? I promised you I'll keep the slides, so I'm going to just run through this, but it helps you validate any of the problems that you have. It helps you with sharper positioning. It helps you with more personalized onboarding. It helps you with prioritization of what we need to work on and when. It helps you contextualize. It solves for decision paralysis that happens in terms of what we need to focus and what we don't need to. It helps with sharper sales pitch decks. It helps with a better marketing, retargeting, and targeting. It helps with retention of your customers because you are able to create a sharper value prop. It does look like this is pretty much all the things that we would touch in our lives of our product marketing day, but that's what it is. So, few points to remember. Needs-based segmentation cannot exist and on its own, right? So I'm not saying we should throw away the classical segmentation model. If you're looking at verticals, if you're looking at revenue, if you're looking at where someone is from, keep it. Unless you're dealing with an academic theory, you're going to need to combine a needs-based segment approach to another form of segmentation in order for your segments to actually be identifiable and addressable. It doesn't need to be prohibitively expensive or crazy complicated. There are complex data systems out there that will micro-segment your customer base and the market into needs-based systems, but that's not where we want to start. You could make simple rules through which you can identify the segments that you want on your base and in the market. Of course, your data science team is not going to love it when you go in with a set of rules, but it is possible to make it work. And the last thing that I want to point out here is that needs-based segmentation isn't reliable unless you have done in-depth qualitative and quantitative data. Understanding people's needs is inherently people-based. So we will need to interview people, collect quotes from them, and dive deep into perspectives to understand what is it that they actually want and what is it that they're actually trying to say. And we will need to layer this with quant data to make sure that the segment that you've identified is actually one with opportunity and not a very niche corner case. So how do we go about doing this? I just have 6 steps. First one, hypothesis. Look at, I would love to start from the top. Look at the vision, mission, and the goal of the company that you are with. What are you trying to solve for? More often than not, this is a very good starting point. For example, at FreshBooks, the core of what we want to be doing is to enable our business owners to have better relationship with their clients. So that is where I wanted to start. That's where we start always, because that's what we want to achieve. And the hypothesis is that there could be differing relationships for a business with their clients. And that's where we want to, that's where we started, right? So look at your best customers. Why are they with you? What do they have in common? And try to get a grouping or a mental mind model in your head. Look at your highest attrition customers. What do they have in common? Why are they leaving? And make a hypothesis that you want to test based on your understanding of customers. This is more often than not likely to be wrong. So that's where our qualitative interviews come in, right? So talk to your best customers, understand what needs are being solved by your product. What is their expectation from your product today, tomorrow? What is the extension of your product that they expect to see? What features and suggestions are they doing, right? And identify the true motivations of this consumer, not simply what are the features that they're talking about, what are the products or services that they're talking about. So go a little deeper and try to peel the onion a layer further. And talk to customers with your competition. What are they doing? What are they not doing? Third step is criteria. Based on your qual interviews, decide on a needs segment criteria that is relevant to what your business is out to achieve. It should be able to distinguish your customers, who you win versus who you don't. Think mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive. Think about how this would overlap with your current segmentation model. So I did speak about what we did at FreshBooks. At FreshBooks, customer relationships is what we wanted to look at. And so we were able to define our needs segments based on the level of interaction that a business would have with their customers and put them into high, medium, and low. And that's how we're looking at it. We know that we do well with one of the segments. We don't do well with a few other segments. And we have overlapped this with what usually we look at in terms of revenue, low, medium, high, in terms of verticals, which of the verticals correlate with our needs segments the most. So that is the criteria that we kind of have defined. Now, the next step for me would be to validate this. I cannot go about thinking about going after a particular priority needs segment unless I know what is the opportunity in there. So I need to do a broad market research study to make sure that I understand what is the addressable market, and from a needs segmentation lens. I need to be able to test my existing assumptions. Do they talk to their clients a lot? Do we need to give them a scheduling tool? Do we need to integrate with XYZ and so on? And this will help us evaluate whether our mental model that we've built in the first 3 steps are aligned with what we observe in the market. And you want to be able to answer questions around what are the top needs-driven characteristics that define your market, and how large are each of these segments, and how do these segments differ based on your classical segmentation cuts that you've already had. And most importantly, you want to also look at how crowded is the space that you are looking at. You want to be able to apply this need segmentation model on your competition as well, just to have a look at it. And we did that for QuickBooks and Xero to some extent, to know that there is a differentiation in there. So the next step, alignment. This is the biggest and the most toughest task that we've had to do when we were rolling out our needs segmentation. So once you've validated this, till now it's been an academic exercise. You have your concept of what you think is an ideal needs segmentation. You feel good about it, but it doesn't work till everyone uses it. So the goal is to unite the entire organization around the single framework and definitions. And uniting the organization around this is a hard and arduous task, but it is so worth the reward. It involves first building consensus. You will want to meet with different relevant leaders and stakeholders in small groups just to get their feedback and make sure you reiterate. The goal is to make sure everyone understands the needs definition and sees it as accurate, relevant to what we are set out to achieve. And that is what will actually cement your need segmentation. So once you have alignment, you have to roll out the standard laundry list of tasks that we end up doing as product marketers, like building customer personas, building segment playbooks, making sure that you're internally ready. Your go-to-market plans are all built around need segmentation. Make sure, and this in hindsight was a mistake that I made personally, make sure that you have the right proxies to identify your need segments. It might be a couple of questions that you want to be asking users. You want to be able to figure out how are you going to identify this market or your base based on a couple of rules that you could later implement. And ensure that there is a process for new and existing customers are being tagged. There is no point of need segmentation if you do not know what your base looks like. Measure company success, company performance against the key metrics by need segmentation. 3 more slides, 3 more cats, no, 1 cat, and a couple of other animals, but almost there. So need segmentation has its own set of challenges, right? Need segmentation is difficult to identify in the target segment and the user base even, because it is not about what a customer is, but it's about their pain points and the jobs to be done, which are not very apparent. Marketing is not going to be happy with you when you go to them with a new needs-based segmentation, because it is going to be a lot more difficult for them to be able to target and identify prospects as well. That is why it is important for us to have proxies. Like some example proxies are X needs segment is very likely to be found in the West Coast, or X needs segment is very likely to be a lawyer, and so on. So you would have a correlation between your classic segmentations, but you are not defining what you're working towards based on the classic segmentation model. Another significant challenge is alignment across stakeholders. Need segmentation makes your organization focus on the core goals that you set out to do. While this is a good thing, it is challenging to drive alignment across different departments who have different goals. The final thing is, need segmentation by definition is abstract, and it may be difficult for everyone to understand, so it requires very good quality internal roadshows and a simple and easy to understand, easy to grasp framework for everyone, the sales team, the marketing, the support, and everyone, all other departments as well. But hey, they have you. So what does success look like? You can pat yourself in the back and tell yourself that you've successfully articulated and implemented a new need segmentation model if you are tracking, forecasting, and budgeting your company's key performance metrics by segment. That's revenue, ARPU, churn, and so on. You're doing it right if your product roadmap has swim lanes for your priority needs segments. Your sales teams are identifying customers based on needs segmentation and using differentiated sales pitches for the different needs. You're also successful if your marketing teams are defining targets and personalization tactics across various funnel stages based on your target needs segment. But the best indicator of success is seeing your team, if you're seeing your priority target segment grow by leaps and bounds. So, in summary, think outside in, think beyond demo, geo, and firmographics. Think about how your customer interacts with your products, services. Maybe there is a better way to segment your base. Maybe there isn't, but think about it. Think overlap. Segmentation does not always stand alone. They more often than not interplay with your traditional frameworks. It might be that your business model does not require you to go beyond classical segmentation. It could be that they are homogeneous enough, but be open to giving need segmentation as small or as big a role in your segmentation model as you deem necessary. Think quantification. Make sure there is an easily quantifiable way to identify your segments amongst customers, both internal and external. Think execution. Key to the effectiveness of any segment traditional or otherwise, is widespread usage and reporting. Always keep in mind the end user of your segments, the entire company, and we want them to all be on the same page. That's all I had. Thanks for listening to me. Happy to take any questions online or offline over a drink.
Thanks, Akshay. That was awesome. Yeah, we'll take a couple minutes for a couple of questions for sure.
Yeah.
While this loads up, anyone from the audience has a question? There's you go.
I'd love a little bit more information. You talked about looking at customers as part of the segmentation. Just wondering your approach at looking at non-customers, so people that may not be currently customers because of some problems with your go-to-market approach.
So what's your question?
How do you think about non-customers in your segmentation?
Right. So it helps us differentiate our segmentation based on how people use our product as such, right? So if it's crucial for us to understand what are the types of customers that we do not attract today, because that is going to be a criteria that goes into your needs segmentation, right? So let's take the example of the level of interaction with customers that I was talking about, right? So if as a product we believe that we are not good at retaining customers who have short interactions with their clients, then that gives me validation for using a needs segment around interaction. But if we see that we are losing customers equally across different levels of interaction for like irrespective, then I cannot use client interaction as a needs segmentation model. So it's important to understand that there are certain segments that we win with, and there are certain segments that we don't win with when we are looking at needs segmentation. Otherwise, there is no point in saying, it's like saying everyone's from the US, right? So it doesn't make a difference if they're not homogeneous enough. So that's where talking to non-customers helps.
We're going to take John's question, and then Megan, you're up. How do you make sure that needs segmentation is understood across the organization and not confused with other forms?
Right.
For example, service level leaders.
So the easiest way to do this is through roadshows. It's through like anything and everything that a product marketing team does needs to have a segmentation lens, and pun unintended, but we need to be able to talk segments whenever we talk about anything else. So things that we did over the last 6 to 12 months is when we talk to sales, for example, they come back and they come and say, hey, I want a pitch deck for creative services vertical. And we're like, which needs segment do you want? So inculcating needs segment talk in every single aspect of it every single aspect of whatever you are delivering, all resources, customer personas are built around needs. You might have segments around industries that they want to use, but focusing on the needs segmentation that you actually want people to understand. And a lot of people actually spoke about this over the course of the day. Over communication, bring it to every single platform, bring it to every single slide that you're talking to anywhere and everywhere. I've had so many conversations with my product team where every month we still speak about order-based business. We still speak about our needs-based businesses, and we still have people who ask very basic questions. But we keep at it. We keep working at it, just like we work with any other segmentation cuts.
I love that. Well, thanks so much, everyone. Give it up for Akshay.